As a clinical psychologist, what are your thoughts on the effectiveness of talk therapy? Because I'm big on the embodiment and your cells remembering stuff. And I for one, have gone through talk therapy in my younger years, and it got me a whole bunch of nowhere for years, because it was all an intellectual process of the older, more mature and aware Amy knew that some of the stuff I was dealing with was, kind of dumb, really. Well, not dumb, but, like, don't worry, like, that's silly. Why would I feel that way? But I couldn't help it, and I had these things because my body was holding the memories. My body
Yeah,
was
okay,
holding.
that's
Yeah.
the entire reason for spiritual psychology. You
Okay.
can talk, but think about that. That's entirely here. We're not integrating the body, we're not integrating the chakras. We don't know which
Yeah.
frequency we're at. We don't know what it feels like for someone to be talking to you, but how are you integrating that information? So, the important thing in talk therapy is the sense of agency. You have to be able to feel safe enough to connect in that space and have your own agency. Because if it's just the other person talking all the time and you're never growing within that relationship, or you're never asserting yourself within that relationship, or being aware of how the words are hitting. Okay, you could have like the logicalist therapy for 10 years, but if you don't know where the blocks are in your chakras, you won't know why it never got digested. Why did it never make it here where the wound was? Is there a block here? Is it, and then that's where all the more subconscious material may come up. Like maybe there's a block in receive. You could receive a ton of great wisdom that you could never integrate because there was a wound here that's blocking all of it. Because maybe, going all the way back to the attachment, maybe you didn't feel safe receiving that milk, so you're never going to swallow and receive and digest. So it's going to get stuck. So the therapeutic relationship is absolutely crucial. And I think actually studies have been done to show that that might even be the number one important part of therapy is the relationship, because that's the fire transformation. That's where energy is moving. And if the relationship is off, and you could take years working on that relationship too and talking that through and
Wow.
everything, but if your heart's not in it, if you're not deeply connected at the core wounds that are part of it, then it will just skim over and it will never get integrated, never get digested. And also, that goes back to how you process in terms of early attachment. If you're not able to receive love because of, anxious, avoidant, all the different kinds of non-secure attachments, you may never be able to receive the greatest wisdom ever because you don't feel safe emotionally integrating it, or you'll never believe that it was like you were ever loved or you ever could be loved. So profound shifts have to happen through energetic frequency, which gets very spiritual and into the vibration stuff and fire transformation and all of that. But that's when I believe the real work happens.
What I'm taking away from that is, wow. I mean, you're talking about it's about the relationship between the therapist and the person. What a tremendous responsibility of the therapist. And you absolutely have to have full trust in your therapist that you feel safe. I mean, you got to be really astute in picking your therapist. It's almost like picking your partner.
Yes,
You can't just, yeah,
absolutely.
wow.
You absolutely nailed it. That if I could say like the number one most important thing, it is that. And you can even spend years working up to that point with the
Okay.
therapist. But you
Okay.
need to trust yourself within the process. And if something doesn't feel right, then you got to trust that because it means you're not going to integrate. And in that trust, even if it takes 10 years to build the trust, but then you build it, that's the fire of alchemy, because that relationship is teaching you how to have the relationship with yourself that you needed all along, which was what it ultimately comes down to. It ultimately comes down to you being able to have the relationship with yourself so you can have the relationship with your higher self. But you can't trust that higher self if you can't trust yourself or the other person because you've never integrated secure attachment.
Mic drop. There you go. I mean, that's about it, everybody. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Such great stuff, Dara. Wow.